Welcome to SOS Media, your number one source of the latest news, opinions, and in-depth investigations that dig deeper into today's developing stories around the globe. For all of us who have been waiting to have a glimpse at the contents of the federal government's reply to R. Kelly's Illinois appeal brief, we'll now have to wait for an extra 30 days to do so because the government has been granted a 1-month extension, meaning that we shall have to wait till the 1st of October 2023 to do so. This is according to the United States Court of Appeal, Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division, the Court of Appeal for the 7th Circuit. We should again be enlightened on the fact that the appellant's brief, who in this case is R. Kelly, is filed first and presents arguments as to why the court's decision should be overturned. The appellee's brief, who in this case is government, is filed second and is optional. The brief outlines why the court's decision was correct. The appellant's reply brief is filed third, and it is the last brief in the appeal process. It is filed by the appellant only if the appellee's brief is filed, and is optional. The brief contains only arguments responding to arguments raised by the appellee. It's very important to note the fact that anytime you want to make a request to the appellate court, you must do so in writing, and that the written request is called a motion. Rule 361 describes the rules for filing a motion in the appellate court, and often, the motion will ask for an exception to the rule. If for some reason you cannot meet the prescribed deadline in which to serve and file your brief, you may file a motion for extension of time with the appeals court. The motion must explain your reasons for the requested extension, provide a date certain by which the brief will be filed, and be accompanied by a certificate of service, which lists the name of the document being served, the date of service, the manner of service, and the names and addresses of all parties being served. A copy of the motion must be served to all other parties to the appeal. If you have filed a motion to extend and your due date is coming up, the motion will not be expedited simply because your due date is approaching. The clerk's office suggests that all motions to enlarge be filed at least 7 days before any impending due date. We should also note that it can take anywhere from several months to years to complete an appeal. The issues involved, how long it took the parties to submit the record in their briefs to the appellate court, and the number of cases pending before the appellate court are factors that impact the amount of time the appellate court needs to decide on a case. In this case, though, the United States Assistant Attorney emphasized that this request on the extension was not done to create any delays in the expedition of the case, but rather provide the government attorney adequate time to prepare a fitting reply to the brief amid the busy schedule, complexity of the case, and backlog of cases of over 15 pending cases at the district court. The motion asserted that these pending cases require quite some time in order to have them through in the confines of the Speedy Trial Act. You probably know or have heard that the United States Constitution guarantees your right to a speedy trial if you are accused of committing a crime. The Illinois State Constitution has a similar requirement and also has what is known as a compulsory joinder rule, designed to help protect a defendant's right to a speedy trial. This means that the state must bring multiple charges arising from the same arrest or act in a single prosecution. In other words, if you are arrested and accused of 2 crimes, the state cannot wait for the outcome of the trial of the first charge before trying you on the second one. We can clearly see the great pressure that BONJEAN has already exerted on the government, and they for sure have to do serious research if they are to rationally answer her legal queries. We do believe that R. Kelly and his legal team are on the right track so far. We cannot just start blowing our own trumpets now, but compared to how R. Kelly's previous legal team handled his case, we seem absolutely right to deduce all the current progress with the fact that it's so far going on well. It's undeniably clear that in such a complex RICO prosecution, R. Kelly's previous legal team had fallen apart mere weeks before the commencement of trial, but today, R. Kelly lead attorney Jennifer Ann BONJEAN has invested in the case an appropriate energy, resources, and time that should have been done by the previous team in preparing for the trial. Instead, they unfortunately were expended battling each other until 2 of R. Kelly's more experienced attorneys were granted leave to withdraw. R. Kelly was ultimately left with a disjointed, unprepared trial team and with no single defense strategy towards tackling the case, but we pray that with BONJEAN now here, that previous mistake should remain as a learning point and the rest of it be put to history. Now, also cited among the extension affidavit include the need to allow government carry out sufficient research on the legal issues raised by the R. Kelly team, including the challenged October 2022's 240 months prison sentence and the RICO argument, which will necessitate a comprehensive transcript review. We know that on August 3, 2023, Jennifer Bonjean submitted R. Kelly's Illinois appeal brief highlighting the various legal irregularities and misinterpretations that marred the whole court trial processes. She has maintained her stand on insisting that R. Kelly's 240 months above guidelines sentence was procedurally and substantively improper. In that brief, Bonjean emphasizes the point that court failed to identify the basis in which the judge upwardly departed 72 months from the then applicable guidelines of 135 to 168 months. It is as if their whole deal was to suggest that it was based on already acquitted conduct, and the unfortunate fact that R. Kelly's crimes would be punished more severely under the current guidelines. It has been for long quite very difficult to comprehend the fact that R. Kelly's Illinois sentence was 4 offense levels above the applicable guidelines range. The district court's rationale for this anomaly and such a significant upward variance was unclear and unjustified in any event. Still, in the brief, Jennifer Bonjean asserted that a distinct court should begin all sentencing proceedings by correctly calculating the applicable guidelines range, after which the sentencing judge considers the 7 sentencing factors. The sentence of 240 months that was handed R. Kelly exceeds by a mega 72 months and unfortunately resulted from the failure to use the appropriate 1997 guidelines, which were binding when the alleged crimes were said to have been carried out. We also know that R. Kelly lead attorney Jennifer Bonjean is asking the Court of Appeal judges to overturn his conviction on racketeering charges in New York, basing on the fact that prosecutors misused the RICO federal statute and that R. Kelly's previous ineffective and conflicted lawyers failed to keep despairingly biased jurors off the panel. RICO prosecution against R. Kelly was absurdly remote from the drafter's intent, Bonjean then wrote in the motion for judgment of acquittal, an argument which is still fronted in the appeals court today. We are sure that the issues that were raised by Jennifer Bonjean previously but had failed to persuade the United States District Judge Ann Donnelly to grant R. Kelly a new trial, will be scrutinized during the appeal to both the 2nd and 7th Circuits of the U.S. Court of Appeals proceedings, for both R. Kelly cases, and Bonjean is likely to highlight them during the New York oral argument court sessions. This recent extension therefore means that for all of us who are enthusiastically following this R. Kelly appeal process can now expect the brief for the appellee to be due by October 2nd, and the reply brief by the appellant, if any, by October 23, 2023. As we continue to witness new developments occurring during R. Kelly's appeal proceedings, we can just stay optimistic that this time this relevant truth will prevail. We believe that R. Kelly and his legal team will be able to outline all the injustices, misinterpretations of the law, cases of lying and witness tampering that have marred all R. Kelly's legal proceedings, and that the law, truth and justice will this time along prevail. It has been a long wait, and we can't wait any longer to see R. Kelly regain his deserved freedom. Thank you for watching today's video, brought to you by SOS Media. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our videos. Also remember to leave your comment about today's topic in the comment section below.